John found himself a member of the 23rd Flying Draft, the only draft airlifted to Korea, becoming immediate replacements for losses at the Battle of Bunker Hill in August of 1952. John was briefly snapped in with the 5th Marines and then sent to Charlie Company, 1st Battalion, 7th Marines, known fondly as Suicide Charlie. While with Charlie 17, John was voluntold to accompany an undersized platoon of Marines to conduct a midnight assault on outpost Warsaw. The Chinese had just abandoned it. Once seizing control of the outpost, they were overwhelmed with hundreds of Chinese artillery rounds, followed by a 200-man Chinese army assault that overran them on Warsaw. After a while, the fighting became mostly hand-to-hand. Surrounded and outnumbered, John and the remaining Marines began defending what little ground they had held on top of the outpost. John began his own war and tossing a few grenades he had left. The situation became even worse when 11th Marines and Army artillery began pounding their position, thinking that they all had been overrun. John found a radio on the tangled wire circling the perimeter and called off the artillery, telling them that they still held outpost Warsaw. Of the 35 Marines who took the outpost, 9 died. 20 were gravely wounded. John and 6 of his fellow Marines remained and secured the hill for 6 more days until they relieved. There was more to John's deployment, and he was later seriously wounded, evacuated to the USS Constellation, a hospital ship. Returning to the Sea Charlie 17 after rehab, he made corporal, became a squad leader, and continued the outpost battles for 7 more months. Returning home in July of 1943, he was assigned to guard duty at Lakehurst, New Jersey. Discharged in 1954, he then earned 2 degrees, an undergraduate degree in marketing and a master's degree in management. His civilian career took him into the world of telecommunications with Ma Bell, which finally ended up being named Lucid Technology. He retired in 1989. He and his wife, Marilyn, raised 4 children. One son became a lieutenant colonel in the Marines.
Mr. Quilts, to honor you, though we may never know the extent of your sacrifice and service to protect and defend the United States of America, as an expression of our gratitude, we award you, sir, this Quilts of Valor.
In June of that year, John then boarded a ship bound for Korea and had to return to Camp Pendleton because a truce was signed before his unit had left San Diego Harbor. His mother said the reasons for the truce was that they were sending John. He then trained for aircraft maintenance at the Naval Air Station in Middleton, Tennessee as an aircraft metalsmith. After the school, he was shipped to Korea in June to be stationed at K3, Pohang Dong in Hedron 1, Headquarters Squadron, 1st Marine Air Wing. The unit then returned to September of 1954, spending the rest of the time through 1958 at Naval Air Station Olathe, Kansas. John left the Marine Corps in good terms as a staff sergeant. Later, John enlisted in the Air Force in 1958 because he wanted to fly, and became assigned to the new ICBM squadron, what is now Vandenberg Air Force Base. He was in a crew which launched the first all-military intercontinental ballistic missile in the free world in January of 1960. He was later selected for the commissioning program and attended the University of Wyoming from January of 62 to 1964, becoming a second lieutenant. Thereafter, assigned as a design project engineer on the Manned Orbiting Laboratory at Space and Missile Systems, Los Angeles, California. Then it became NASA, redesigned and renamed Skylab. John left the United States Air Force as a captain in 1969. His civilian career consisted of computer sales and consulting. He retired from government service in 1994 to be at computer networks in the Fish and Wildlife Service in Portland, Oregon. Then, moving to the National Park Service, he served in the National Park as director of IT and finally retired in July of 1999. He now golfs, reads a lot, and flies planes.
Mr. Bailey, on behalf of the Quilts of Valor Foundation, the Smoky Oak Quilts Club, and your family and friends, sir, it is an honor and a privilege to award you with this Quilts of Valor. Thank you, sir, and welcome home.
Military careers of any Marine, spending 34 years beginning in 1949 with the United States Air Force, later with the Florida National Guard, Colorado National Guard, and finally with the Marine Corps Ready Reserve. Ken volunteered for Korea in 1951 and found himself near Hill 296, the scene of a bloody Marine Corps battle, monitoring F-86 jets while they flew series north of the DMZ as an Air Force controller communicator. He also made it to Old Baldy as an observer, looking up his cousin Ray, who was in a line company with the 1st Marine Division, and surprising him with a rare bottle of whiskey. Ooh, you're a damn good man. Later, 1952 found him back at Strategic Air Command at Dill Air Force Base, Tampa, Florida, assigned to the B-47 Evaluation Squadron. In 1955, Ken, after completing 6.5 years in the Air Force, discharged, joined the Marine Corps Reserve Amphibious Tractor Battalion in Tampa. Spending time there, he took a leave of absence, joined the Florida National Guard for a short year, then returned to the Tractor Battalion. Finding his way to Denver, Ken began his civilian career with Public Service Company of Colorado, where he became a program manager, developing propane gas projects for major home builders in rural areas of Colorado, one significant project being in the Conifer area. Ken retired from Marines at Buckley Air Force Base in 1958 as an E-9 Master Gunnery Sergeant after 34 years in 3 branches, school, and serving in the following specialties: communications, military policeman, B-47 aircraft crew evaluations, 155 howitzer artillery battery operations, NCO, amphibious tractors operations, NCO, Special Forces airborne training at Fort Benning, Georgia, and top secret photo imagery and intelligence, mostly via satellite. Ken took up bagpipe playing in his retirement and plays for many events: Cheyenne Frontier Days, Marine Corps Memorial, Buffalo Bill Days and Golden, funerals and final honors, the St. Patty's Day Parade, and of course, Cooper's Trees.
Mr. Geis, on behalf of a very grateful nation, sir, I want to thank you so much for your service to our country and welcome home. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Nance Fudge. Nance is also a Marine. He served with the 1st Battalion 7th Marines during Operation Iraqi Freedom in 2003, with the 1st Battalion to go into Kuwait. Maynard joined the United States Marine Corps in 1947 at age 17 and served his 3-year tour after Paris Island and infantry training combat at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. 3 months after discharge, Sergeant Kennedy was called in 1950 after Sergeant of the Korean War. He was placed in the 2nd replacement draft at Camp Pendleton and was immediately shipped to Wonsan, Korea, settling in as fire team leader with Dog Company, 2nd Platoon, 2nd Battalion, 1st Marine Regiment. He experienced the most intense combat in a final assault on Hill 749 and the DMZ of Korea. His 2nd Battalion had sustained heavy casualties, had been reduced to just 1 rifle company. That objective was finally taken with bayonets and hand grenades by his rifle company. While qualifying with all the standard Marine weaponry, M1 1911A1 pistol, Maynard preferred his faithful .38 caliber shortest pistol. At the Chosin Reservoir, as the Chinese charged their position, he blasted away at the swarming hordes with his trusty .38, for reasons he still cannot fathom today. Asked how the war affected him, he replied, "The Battle of Chosin defined me as the person I am today. I still feel the effects." He went on to say, "Most of us suppressed our memories because they were so horrible. Not only in the chaos, that of the killing, but the extreme weather had a huge effect on us." Maynard taught genetics and biology at the University of Colorado for more than 30 years. He now lives in Del Norte in south central Colorado. He was an active member and president of the Rocky Mountain chapter of Chosin Few and helped transition those members into Cooper's Troopers. He is author of numerous textbooks, hundreds of films and papers, and led workshops coupled with science studies for 36 countries. He received the White House Award for Leadership of Private Sector Initiatives from President Reagan in 1988.
We want to thank you so very much, young man, for coming and receiving your grandfather's quilt. On behalf of the Quilts of Valor Foundation, your family, your friends, and your grandpa, I want to thank you so much and thank him for his service to our country.
Herb Sternberg. Herb began his service to our great nation enlisting in the Marine Corps and ending up in Camp Hill, California. It was there that he prepared the 1st Battalion, 1st Marine Regiment to deploy to Korea in 1951. He had completed his cold weather training at Pickle Meadows in the California mountains. He was then pulled from 1-1 when they found out that he was a bright and could type. Irv was tapped for the administrative duty that was logistics group to a spawning camp penalty for the rest of his active duty tour. Irv was given a family hardship discharge in 1952 to return home to attend to family matters on the East Coast. Irv then continued in an outstanding civilian career as a newspaper journalist in New Jersey for 11 years. After that, his life journeyed him to the public relations with the Bell System and Western Electric, the manufacturing arm of Ma Bell. He remained there for 21 years. After retiring from Ma Bell, he began a freelance public relations consulting business and finally segued into writing novels full-time. To date, Irv has published 12 books, the last one released featuring Korean War Marines in our own Cooper's Troopers organization, Marty Letelier, Maynard Kennedy, Gail Parker, and Don Johnson. The title of the book, The Land of the Morning Calm, When Boys Became Men at the Chosin Reservoir, Star Mount Press, Denver, Colorado.
Yes. On behalf of the Quilts of Valor Foundation and your family and your friends, the Spokeo Quilt Club, we want to recognize you and thank you so much for your service, sir. Welcome home. Thank you.
Camp Lejeune Engineer Equipment Operating School. November of 51-52, Camp Del Mar, D Company, Amtrak Battalion. 52 to 53, February to December of 52, Korea, 2nd Auto Maintenance Platoon, 7th Motor Transport Battalion, 1st Marine Division. October 52 to December 52, 4th Battalion, 11th Marines, Quantico, Virginia, January 53 to February 54. Bonn, Germany, High School, U.S. High Commission, 1954 to 1956, September 56 to 68, 155 Gun Battery, Denver, Colorado, USMCR. November of 68 to July of 81 is Max 23, Buckley Field, Colorado, USMCR. Dad retired from the Marine Corps as a Sergeant Major in the United States Marine Corps Reserve.
Sir, I want to thank you so much for your service to our country. I want to this round. Thank you so much. On behalf of a very grateful nation, sir, we award you this Quilts of Valor. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right, hoorah. Hey, that right there.
Sir, you want to get
Tom Jacobs. Marines come from rural towns, farms, ranches, from urban areas, reservations, and inner cities across America. Tom enlisted in the Marine Corps in 1965 in Chicago. Quickly found himself stepping off a C-130 airplane into what he thought was a hot oven. That oven was called Vietnam. Hardly anyone knew where this place was. His assignment was with Bravo Company, 1st Battalion, 4th Marines, a unit of the 3rd Marine Division operating in the Northern Airport area of the Republic of South Vietnam. He found himself roaming the upper DMZ back and forth. Then again and again, they would roam back and forth, and then they would then retreat themselves, looking again for the elusive enemy and NVA. There were days of constant terror from incoming mortars, rockets, and enemy artillery. The nights were like a black velvet curtain until deadly enemy fire lit up the night sky. He and his Marine brothers slogged through the monsoon mud, rice paddies, and tall elbow grass, which would slice through the bare skin, causing razor cuts. On the morning of October 27, 1967, he and his fellow Marines walked into a silent jungle at the base of Hill 674 on the DMZ. The point element of his platoon walked into a serious ambush at the trailhead. The first 3 Marines in the point were killed instantly. Tom's fire team now became the point element. For the next 9 hours, he and his fellow Marines fought for their very lives. Tom does not like to talk about it, but he and his fellow Marines, almost out of ammo, prepared to die that day. Eventually, the living fought their way down the trail, dragging their wounded with them. Wounded twice within 5 minutes, Tom and 2 others in the squad at the end of the ordeal were spared. On that fateful day in October 1967, 1st Battalion engaged in Operation Granite, sustained 23 KIAs, 105 WIAs, as reported in the after-action report. Tom is now a successful entrepreneur and has an investment group called Takabi American Indian Restaurants. He has the organization registered and poised to start restaurants in 35 states, 2 here in Denver, and about to open up at the DIA airport soon. In 2018, Takabi Restaurants receiving awards as the National American Indian Business of the Year. Tom is blessed with 4 beautiful children, 10 grandchildren, and another on the way in January of 2021.
Hoorah! Speak up. Louder.
Mr. Jacobs, the Quilts of Valor Foundation wishes to recognize you for your service to our nation. We consider, sir, a privilege to honor you. Welcome home, sir.
Semper Fi. Hoorah!
Wes Love. We are honoring him today because he has been a loyal member of Cooper's Troopers for many years. Now, and is such a giving person, has been a veteran advocate for many veterans and veteran causes, both domestic and foreign. He is our breveted Sergeant Major here at Cooper's Troopers. Wes followed his older brother, into the Marine after graduating from high school in 1964. Wes traveled away from his father's 1,700-acre family farm in North Dakota to San Diego to become a Hollywood Marine. Careful, Decker. After boot camp and ITR, he spent time on Okinawa, then back to Camp Pendleton with the 13th Engineer Battalion as NCOIC Chief Instructor for the Jungle Warfare Training School, training Marines for Vietnam. With only 4 months and 13 days left to complete a 4-year enlistment, West received orders for Vietnam as an 0311 grunt, or infantry. General Krulak was scouring the West Coast for any Marine, regardless of MOS, to be a grunt in the 27th Marine Regiment. In Vietnam, Sergeant Love became a squad leader with the Kilo Company, 3rd Battalion, 27th Marines, patrolling the Rocky Belt, south of Da Nang. This was an area known as Dodge City in the Arizona Territory. West made it through some serious battles in the Gono Island area, where he and his fellow Marines were at one point surrounded by NBA regulars. West finished his tour with the Marine Corps in the summer of 1968, then joined Lockheed Martin, working there for over 24 years. In 1985, he joined the Colorado National Guard, where he helped manage and teach the Command Tactical Operations Center as a chief instructor until retirement in 2000. West is heavily decorated with 17 awards, all the way from Combat Action Ribbon to a Meritorious Service Medal. Since retirement, he has worked tirelessly as an English teacher in the Vietnamese community. He is an honorary captain in the Vietnamese American Veterans Association and senior military advisor for the Hmong American Coalition, where he bears the honorary rank of First Sergeant. He is a life member of the VFW and American Legion and is a veteran advocate for the Route 66 50C3 organization.
Hoorah!
Mr. Love, it is such an honor and privilege, sir, to recognize you with the Quilts of Valor. Thank you and welcome home.
Welcome home. Sit down. Everybody smile.
Everybody promised to use their quilt, right?
Right,
You're gonna make a memory, right?
right.
Very good, very good. I hope that you will allow me to come back again and honor more of you. There's still lots in this room, and so I just hope